Well, hello and welcome back. I'm so glad you're here today. Let's have some fun today with coffee filters. Yes, these flowers are made from coffee filters. And I want to show you how I did it, and we're going to make one together. Now, this one was an experiment. This yellow in the inside was a cupcake liner, but it did not take the dye the way I wanted it to because they're a little bit waxed, but it still worked, still made a nice center for my flower. This one is all coffee filters. So let's get started. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to use today these brown ones. Now these were all made with the white ones, but today I want to try this natural color and maybe just get some different colors, a little more vintage looking. All right, so I have about 3 coffee filters here, and I'm going to fold them in half, and I'm going to grab my glasses, which I forgot. Now I can see. And I'm going to fold that in half. Now, this is not my idea. I know you've seen a lot of people do it before, but we might do it just a little different today for fun. And again, so that's 4 times. I folded it in half. We got this little cone shape here. Now, according to how big you want your flower, this is a pretty big flower. So you may not want yours quite that big. I'm not sure what I'll do with one that big, but we'll just do it anyway. You can make the edge of your petals rounded. You can make them pointed. I'm going to go down just a little bit deeper right there with that. You could make them flat. You could cut a little divot in there. Anything in the world you want to do. Okay? All right. So now there's a lot of different methods you could do here. I'm going to show you a couple that I do. So I'm going to open this up a little bit, and you're going to get ink on your hands. So if you don't want inked fingers, then you may want to put some gloves on. I usually just do it. I'm on wax paper here. I've got my glass mat underneath there, and I've got wax paper here so that I wouldn't stain anything. So these are Glimmer Mist. You don't have to have Glimmer Mist. You can make your own Glimmer Mist. You can use anything, but it's a water-based. It's not alcohol ink, okay? It's a water base, and it bleeds if you want it to. Now it has this glitter, listen to me, glitter. It has this glitter in the bottom. You can see it's a real fine mica powder. It's really not a glitter. And they say you're supposed to stir it up like this as opposed to this, because sometimes these nozzles, well, sometimes, quite often, they get stopped up. This one might even be. Let's see. Oh, no, it is. Okay, so to see what I'm doing, I'm just kind of spraying. So I might want to just spray this one pretty good, okay? Now it's going to look a little more pastel once it dries, and it's on brown coffee filter instead of white. So the color's going to be a little more muted, and that's what I'm going for. That's kind of what I wanted. Now I'm going to kind of set it over here to dry a little bit, and instead of letting it dry flat, I'm just going to scrunch it a little. It just kind of helps it to dry when it's up off the ground, off the table. Then for this one, I'm going to take and I'm going to mop up some of that so that we get some different tones. All right, now this is another stack of 3. And, oh, let's see, hold on. Let's do these first before we go that way. Let's do another one of these, and let's have it, let's see, this darker color on the outside, although it's not really dark, and maybe this color, Forest Sun. Let's see, the first one was called Secret Flowers. This one's called Forest Sun. Let's shake it just a little. Let's put some of that toward the inside. There we go. So now we kind of two-toned. All right, let's scrunch that up just a little to let it dry. And let's mop up the leftovers. That'll just add a little more to our colors. And this is the first one again. And maybe just a spray or 2 of that color. All right, now move it off to the side, let it dry. Here's our second stack. So you want to have about, I think it's 10, they say, 8 or 10 layers. It just really depends on you, whatever you want. Now, on this one, I'm going to do this one a little different. I'm going to cut my circle, and I'm cutting this one just a little bit shorter than that one, because see, that'll be the outside layer. Now we're going inside, so we want to start shortening them just a little bit. And for this layer, I'm going to cut that little divot we were talking about. I'm going to cut a little divot in the top of that petal, just to make it different, just for fun. Now, you can take this right here and just dip it into some ink like that and let it soak up if you want to. That's one idea. And so I'm going to show you what that looks like. So you spray a little ink here, and then we just kind of dip the edges of our flower petals. Okay, so I've just kind of done the edges. I'm going to show you what happens. Then you open it up, and see, now all your tips have color, but the rest of it does not. Now you can, let's see, I had 4 that time. Okay, you can leave it like that if you want to, or you can add some more color on the inside, and those two colors will just kind of start bleeding together. Okay, that's kind of pretty, so we might use a little bit of that here. I'm going to scrunch these over. You can also just use water. Okay, this is nothing but water. Little Dollar Tree spray bottle. Okay, you can use water, and you can watch that color start to run. But just for the sake of the video, let's go ahead and add some more color. Now see, I added that right on top of that water. It's okay. It's just going to all run in together. And let's see. Let's make this one another dark one with maybe just a little bit of golden rose. Shake that up. And when these dry, they have that, because of that mica powder, they have such a beautiful little glimmer to them when they dry. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create what's going to be the middle of my flower. All right, so I'm mopping up my mess, and that'll just be used. Let's see, you guys move over a little bit. All right, so for the very center of my flower, I want the petals even smaller. All right, so what is that? 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we got 10 petals. All right, good deal. All right, now this is the center of my flower. So not only do I want my petals smaller, but I'm going to make them a different shape just for fun. All right, so now I've got a point at the top of this one. All right, so let's open it up. Open, open, open. Take them apart so that they will, you can ink them together. It's just harder to get them apart once they're wet. These are a little damp. Okay, now since this is the center of our flower, let's just go with that bright yellow, that yellow sun. And you can just keep adding colors as long as you want to. I might just add just a tad of that one again too. All right, now we're going to let this dry, and I'm going to show you what happens next. Okay, now, while we wait for these guys to keep drying, I'm going to show you something else. Here's a whole different, especially for junk journal embellishments, you don't need a flower that's that huge. So, I'm going to show you another way to do it. I've got about 3 coffee filters, fold them in half again. I see that one's a boboed one. See that? It's got a little short. Okay, let's just take him out. We won't use him. All right, so fold it in half twice. Then take your scissors, and we're going to cut circle. The largest circle you can get out of that is actually a good size. Don't worry that it's a perfect circle. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just cut a circle. And you've seen me make these kind of flowers before, so this is really nothing new here. But I'm going to take about 2 layers, and I'm going to fold that in half. Then I'm kind of marking the center you know, just approximately. And I'm going to fold this one to the left, and I'm going to fold this one to the back, just like that. Okay. Then we take our scissors, and I'm starting about half, 3/4 of an inch down, doesn't matter, exactly that, and I'm just cutting a petal out of that. All right, so that's what I've done here. So I've cut different sizes. Here's a smaller one, and then I cut this one. I cut it round, but then I went back and cut all these little pieces in here. That's going to be my stamens. All right, now for this one, I'm going to say, let's don't do any color. Let's just do the brown on the edge to really distress it. All right, now this is a lot of fun. If you haven't done this before, this is fun. This is Tim Holtz Distress ink. Doesn't have to be any brand or anything like that. It's just what I have. And I'm going to try to get the tips of my stamen into this ink. This is a walnut stain, and it's probably a little drier than I want it to be. I'd rather it be a little bit juicier. But anyway, all right, so let's open up these stamens. And again, if you don't want ink in your hands, you can wear gloves. I don't seem to want to wear gloves, apparently. I never do. I always get ink all over me. But that's okay. I don't mind. It'll come off eventually. All right, now, so I've got about 3 layers here. Aren't they cute? Look at that. These are going to be my stamens. Now, take your water bottle, just plain water, and we're going to spray and watch that ink begin to run. The wetter you get it, the more it's going to run. Okay, can you see it running? I don't want to pick it up, but it'll have, this particular walnut stain has some purples and some greens in it that you might see show up every now and then. Let's see if I can show you that. And as it dries, you'll see more and more colors coming out. All right, so we're going to find a place to put those guys over here. We'll let them dry. Now, I could mop that up with those, but I'm just going to use the scraps here to kind of mop that up a little bit. All right, same thing on these petals. So I've got my petals. They're still all folded together. And I'm going to take my ink, and I'm just going to, don't worry if it goes down one of the sides. And then sometimes you might want to open it up. See, it didn't really get any on the inside. So you might want to open it up and do it that way. It's just according to how dark you want the edges of your flower. You can open it all the way and look at it and go, yeah, maybe a little bit more right there. Whatever. All right. Then separate your layers. Now see, that one didn't get as much, but it's okay because you don't want them all the same. And now let's spray and watch it run. And even when it's wet, if you're saying, well, gosh, that one just didn't get enough, I don't like that. Well, just pick it up, dip it right over there into that ink again. And because it's wet, it's going to really absorb. So here we go. Now that one's going to be a little more solid, you know, a little more muted or whatever. All right, so we're going to do this to these petals, and we're going to let them dry. And by the time I have finished that, I think our first ones will be done. And so we'll have a big surprise. I'll show you how to put those together. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to say that is dry enough. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take the smaller ones and move them over. These might be a little smaller because we started with these. That one's still a little damp, but I think it'll be okay. Now, since we sprayed these with Glimmer Mist, one side will have some mica powder on it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it'll have a little glitter to it. And the other side, not so much. Let me see if I can find one that shows up there. That one shows up pretty good. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but anyway. All right, so anyway, we want to put the glimmer side up for fun. All right, now, I'm going to start layering these, and since they were cut identical, we want to make sure we don't line them up exactly where, we want to stagger them. All right, So we're just going to stagger our petals a little bit. Is that the right? Yes, that's the right side up. All right, so there's 3. So I got some brown streaks in here. It's all right. It's not a problem at all. Look at this one. This is the one I mopped it up with. I said, let me clean up the mess with this one. I love that one. That one turned out really cute. I'll put that there. We'll put this one. Let's swap these two. This one seems to be a little bigger. All right, so put that one there. And I'm thinking, I can't tell which one of these is bigger. Maybe they're the same. And let's put this here. And then you can see the glimmer really good on those. I hope that shows up on camera because that really is pretty. Let that one be the top. Oh, that one looks good too. All right, we'll put this one about here. And again, I'm staggering them around because they were cut from the same piece. I don't want them to be identical. So here they are, all kind of stacked together. I'm going to pick up my stack and I'm going to take my foamy pad. This is just a little foamy thing so I can poke. I've got a pokey tool, also known as an awl, and I'm going to go about the center. I'm kind of winging it because it doesn't matter, and I'm going to poke it all the way through. Be careful and don't poke thyself. All right, now I've got these little brads. You can use any kind of brad in the world. It doesn't have to be this kind. This is just something I had, looked like a little flower center. And I'm going to stick that brad through there, and I'm going to open that up. Now the fun part, scrunch, scrunch, scrunch. That's all you got to do. So start at the top, and let's scrunch it up. And all the way down, we are going to scrunch. So you know, you can decide how tight you want to scrunch. I usually scrunch pretty tight, but you don't have to. Just ever how, and you can, like I said, you can use as many layers. Look at this layer. Isn't that gorgeous? With that darker red on the outside. You can cut these into more of rose petal shapes. You can cut them all into little bitty jagged edges. It might look more like a carnation or just however. Now see, these are our rounder petals, and these are a little bit bigger toward the outside. Scrunch, scrunch, scrunch. Don't overthink it. Now I'm kind of holding on to the bottom right here as I do this last layer. And see, I'm scrunching pretty good, pretty tight. All right, there's our brad, little handle I was holding on to. Now all I do is I unfold it, but of course you don't want to unfold it all the way. So you just want to start gently unfolding some of the layers. Leave it kind of poofy. Let's put this layer down here. And see, this one is a lot more muted because we started out with the brown looking filters instead of white. So it really just depends on what you want. Oh goodness, see, I tore it right there. Didn't mean to, but you know what? It'll all be all right. We'll get all this scrunched up real good. Now, and then you've got a gorgeous flower. You can scrunch more if you want to. Like this layer right here, I think he came out a little too big. I'm going to just scrunch him in there a little more. But look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, let me show you. This is the one we did in white with the same inks. You can see how vivid that is. This is the one we did in the off-white, the brownish filters. So it's a little bit different. Okay, now let's go look at our little bitty ones. Okay, now here's our brown ones, and they are dry. I had to help them dry a little bit with a heat tool because I wanted to finish. And there's a lot of things you can do with these. All right, a lot of different ways we can finish them. But I'm going to take a stylus tool. Got a set of these on probably Amazon. And I am going to run my tool around these leaves and just kind of turn them into a cup shape. The petals, not the leaves. These are petals. And then, you know, kind of drawing it up, drawing it into the middle. Oh, it'll make such a beautiful flower. By the way, you see that green in there? I was showing you how that walnut stain will show up green, sometimes purple. I love to see the different colors that comes out of it sometimes. And these are coffee filters. Now, you can do this with cardstock, and it won't be near about as tender, delicate, I should say. It's kind of delicate. So, but coffee filters are pretty strong. They're just not going to be as stiff. The flower itself is going to be a little bit softer. Okay, so I'm just kind of drawing all those up into the middle. All right, let's do that. Now, when I get to the little stamens here, the ones that are going to be stamens, they're kind of wild and crazy, and I'm like, that's okay. I'm just kind of rolling in the center. I'm drawing some of them in, just, you know, by going up and down them until they get kind of wild and crazy looking, and that's about where I want it to be. Okay, now, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm kind of looking for the largest petal. Not that there's a big difference between most of them, and you can use any kind of glue. I'm just using a white glue, and I'm going to start gluing my petals together. And just like on the other flower, we want to stagger them, okay? You don't want any of them right on top of, you know, one petal on top of the other exactly. You know, you want to kind of keep it staggered. And I think I have like way too many. So I'm going to get more than one out of this. I'm just going to use that to push that down in there. I think that one might go good next. And because they're coffee filters, they just glue together so easily. Push that down. Look how pretty this is going to be. Oh, I love these kind of flowers. Get down in there. Okay, now I think those are going to be too big. All right, so now we're going to go with our stamen. All right, so all I did with the stamen, it is kind of wild and crazy, but there's one little piece right there I want to fix because I don't want it to go that way. All right, so I rolled the inside, but I'm also kind of rolling up to toward the ends, the edges, the outside edges, and that kind of helps to pull it in, kind of helps to cup it inside. All right, now I'm going to put me a little glue down in there. I'm going to stick my stamens down in there, and I'm going to make sure that it went all the way down. Let go. Look how pretty. Ah! Now you could leave it just like that, and, you know, just kind of close the middle just like that. Is just gorgeous. You could put a pearl down inside. You could put a pile of seed beads down inside, or anything in the world you want to do. There is no right or wrong. Okay, so this is one way of doing these flowers. Now, if you want to do a different style, you could pinch these petals. Instead of cupping them up, you could pinch them in the middle, just roughly, nothing. See, that's kind of two together, but I'm just going to leave it because flowers are not perfect. And you can just do it. They don't want to pinch because I've already cupped them, but you could do the whole thing like that with just a little crease down the middle of them if you don't cup them first, and then just stack them on top of each other, and you'd have a whole different style. It wouldn't be as round and cupped. I love this little look, kind of like a rose. So let's go ahead and let's finish this one too. See what I'm doing? I'm just kind of drawing it up. See how it went? Whoop. Okay, so let's finish this one. Let's just start with maybe you, and look at all the green down in there, and that's so cool. And let's put a little glue here. Now you can take your time on this. I move really quick because I know that it's a video, and you know, people don't want to watch a long video, and this one is already a little bit longer than my normal, but so that's the reason I'm moving trying to move real quick. All right, so down in here we got the last one. So out of that one stack of coffee filters, I was able to do 2 beautiful flowers. How many coffee filters did we start out with? 3 or 4? Don't remember exact. And your stamens now, you don't have to draw them in like that. You can leave them sticking straight up. I'm drawing mine in because my petals are cupped in. I tell you one thing, coffee filters are not as easy to work with as cardstock. Cardstock does what you tell it to, just a little bit more, but that's okay. All right, so let's put that down inside, way down in there. Look. Excuse me. Now, we've got 2 absolutely gorgeous flowers, and they are ready to go on your junk journal cover or page or tag or whatever you want to do with them. And I've got a stamen left over for another one. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope you've had fun today. Have a wonderful day. See you next time. Bye-bye.